Hello, this is Brian, and I received a question on what the total cost of EV ownership might be over, say, an 8-year, 100,000 mile lifespan of a vehicle. So today we're going to take a look at what that might be. So when we bought our Model S back in 2015 and doing a lot of the research in 2014, we gathered a lot of this information. And at that time, one of the other vehicles that we were looking at was the Audi A6. He wanted to know about comparable cars. These were the two we were looking at. I don't know if I'd necessarily call them comparable. The Model S is bigger. It's got significantly more technology in it. It's faster. It's safer. It's quieter. There's a lot of other advantages to the Model S over the A6. Not that the A6 was a bad car, but they're not comparable. So for the first part of this analysis, this is what we're going to be looking at, and we'll get maybe a more comparable vehicle later on. So proceeding through this analysis, the first thing we need to do is look at the vehicle prices. So this is the price sheet we had put back together. It says it's a 2015. I don't know why it says 2014 here, but the price of the vehicle before tax, title, and destination, $65,950. So we've got that in the analysis. We can see it was a 3-liter, and we had optioned this thing up: prestige package, sports package, etc. Adding the cold weather package, driver assistance package to make it, a little bit nicer car, kind of like the Model S that we were looking at. The other thing I'll point out right here is that the combined mile per gallon for that vehicle is 22 miles per gallon. So then, of course, the next thing we need is the price for the Tesla Model S. So here's the one that we purchased before tax, title, documentation fees. $99,550, and so we'll carry that over here. We talked about the efficiency. I'll put a link to the other video I made on how to calculate the cost using efficiency, but we saw before the Audi A6 was at 22 miles per gallon. Tesla Model S 300 watt hours per mile is a pretty good, I'd say, combined rating on what you might get driving that vehicle around, is what about the rating is on that. So the next thing to look at then is the insurance. We got actual quotes on this back when we were looking at these vehicles. So the Audi at the time for 6 months, $365.08. So we put that over here in the analysis. And the Tesla for the exact same insurance coverage, $416.31. It's a little bit more expensive car, so we'd expect to see that. All right, maintenance. At the time, we didn't do much investigation on maintenance on the Audi. I'm a little surprised at the number here. So how did I come up with that? If Audi offers a package called Audi Care, it looks like you get your first 5,000 mile service for free, and then after that every 10,000 miles, and so 15, 25, 35, 45. For the A6, that's going to run $869. That seems like a phenomenal deal. So if you have an Audi and that's really the price, I'd probably check that out. And then he wanted to do 100,000 mile analysis. So it looks like after that you buy Audi Care Select. And so we were up to 45,000 miles here in the last analysis. So every 10,000 we need 55 and 65 package, plus package for 75, 85. So those for the A6 run $769 a piece. And so if we look at the formula that we used over here, we can see that the formula is the $869 for the first package plus 2 of the second package is $769, and I just did another half of that package for your 95,000 mile service that you need to get to the 100,000 miles. That's probably given the benefit of doubt. I am really surprised at how low this price is. Here's all the stuff that's included in it. So oil changes, wiper blades, etc. They're not doing any kind of tire rotation in here, so that might be a little bit different, but that just seems like a really great deal to me. So if you own an Audi, I'd say, hey, check that out. As far as the Tesla service plan, when we bought the vehicle, the price for a 4-year plus the extension was $3,800. This is an analysis I had done at the time when we were buying the vehicle. So that's what I'm using here, is the $3,800. Today it's quite a bit different. At the time, it was very vague what was included in the Tesla service. Today they have a chart on their website here. This is from their website, and it shows you very clearly what's included with each service, what the individual services are. We have an all-wheel drive Model S, so here's would be our prices. If you bought one of the plans, what those would run. I know that they're fairly expensive. Honestly, I tell people don't worry about the 1 and the 3 years. I mean, if you look at really what they do, replace the key fob, rotate your tires, replace your wiper blades. To me, that really isn't worth $475. If you're a little bit handy, you can do all that sort of stuff yourself, you know. But anyway, for purposes of comparison, I'm using the price that we had at that time, since we're using these older vehicles and the older pricing and so forth. All right, next thing, cost of fuel. This is maybe a tough one. So we live in Iowa in the USA. So this is the last 8 years historical prices. They're up, they're down. I couldn't find the data file of this, get the actual average. So graphically, let's just use $3 a gallon as an average. If you can tell me what gas prices will be for the 8 next years, please do. And we'll use that information to our advantage. But in this analysis, we're going to use $3 per gallon for gas. And in Iowa, where we live here, for 9 months of the year, we pay 6 cents per kilowatt. In the summer, like right now, we pay 11 cents a kilowatt. I'm using 6 for this analysis to make it easy. Also, sometimes owning the Model S, we supercharge on the road, or we use destination chargers, or we use free charging around town and other places, and so none of that's going to be included in this analysis to keep it simple. So, going through the analysis here, we look at the purchase price of the vehicles. We've got those. We're carrying them down from before. We've got our maintenance included. These were the maintenance over the full 8 years. We got the insurance. So to get those numbers, I just took the numbers above here, multiplied that by 8 years, semi-annual payments 2 times per year, times those numbers above. Here we can see it would be 5 the insurance amount, and so this is where you come out for the insurance for both of those vehicles. Alright, fuel costs, like I said, I got the link to the other video on how you determine this, but the fuel for the Audi, about $13,500, only $1,800 for the Tesla Model S. The next thing then is at the end of that, well, what happens when you sell those vehicles? And so for the Audi, I just went back and found one that was 8 years old, optioned it up similar to how we had it. It said that, you know, we're selling this in a very good condition, $9,257. So we got that number over here. And then there is no Model S that's 8 years old yet. They're not that old, but doing kind of an analysis, a regression, if you will, on what the price of that vehicle might be worth after 8 years. We can see it's losing around $5,000 of value a year. And so if we extend that out to 8 years, we take another $15,000 off this $40,000, we come up with about $25,000. So, comparing these two vehicles for 100,000 miles over 8 years, where do we come up? The Audi around $79,000 and the Tesla Model S around $87,000. So, if we would consider those to be comparable cars, the Tesla Model S is going to cost you more. Now, when we bought our car, and still today, if you buy an electric vehicle in the United States, the federal government will provide you a $7,500 tax credit. And so if we take that into consideration, we can see that the cars become very similar in price over those 8 years. Again, that's if we consider these cars to be comparable. So I think we would say, if you've driven both these cars, that they're probably not apples to apples. The Tesla Model S, like I said, larger, more features, so on and so forth. And so what if we make an adjustment on the Audi to make it comparable, right? So if we add $34,000 to the purchase price to bring those more in line, of course, then the amount that we're going to sell it for is the same. So the way I did this is I just took the ratio of what this car had depreciated at and gave it credit for that extra amount. So we'll give another credit, almost $5,000 there. And if we look then for maybe a more apples to apples comparison at the end of life for both of these cars, we can see that the Tesla Model S is significantly less expensive to own, about $30,000. So some of that is in the value of the car, other parts of that is in the fuel. So the one thing I did not take into consideration in this analysis is any sort of taxes or registration that you might be paying for these vehicles, and so those vary widely state to state and where you live and jurisdictions and so forth. And so if you want to do a more thorough analysis, feel free to use this as a baseline.